it appears that some positive changes are occurring at the Mexico-United States border in terms of inspections going both ways. Mexico, according to my friends and neighbors that are traveling back and forth, are doing inspections of vehicles that are heading into the United States. And of course, once you get into the United States, you're going to go through another inspection. Coming into Mexico, you're going to go through an inspection as well. One of the things that I've noticed within the past 6 months is if you're walking into Mexico, you're going to go through a X-ray body scanner in addition to your bags going through an X-ray scanner. In my opinion, all of this is good, although sometimes gringos can be a little bit impatient. Now, spring break is coming. There's going to be a lot of people on the roads. This is going to be some frustration, but I think it's all very good. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. You can look at the article at crazyoldgringo.mx. That's crazyoldgringo.mx, and I hope you enjoy.
All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into some recent events happening at the Arizona-Mexico border.
Yeah, it's getting pretty interesting down there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So we'll be looking at a blog post today
Right.
from Crazy Old Gringo. He's a retired private investigator who's been living in Mexico
Oh, wow.
and,
Yeah.
kind of blogging about what he sees.
Very cool.
The title of the post is Arizona-Mexico Border Wait Times Soar.
Okay, so we're talking about, like, border crossing issues.
Exactly, and it's been creating a lot of buzz online.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we wanted to kind of dig into it and see what's really going on down there.
Right, because this is a big deal for anyone who's thinking about crossing the border, whether it's for vacation or for work or whatever.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like things are changing, maybe not for the better.
Yeah, the blog post kind of points to heightened inspections by Mexican authorities as the main reason for these delays. And we're seeing similar reports from different news sources, too. You know, they're saying there's like a surge in security measures on the Mexican side of the border.
So it's not just this one blog. It seems like there's something bigger happening.
Right.
Okay, so what does heightened inspections actually mean? Like, what are we talking about here?
So it seems like it's a lot more thorough than what travelers might have experienced, say, a few years ago.
Okay.
They're doing vehicle searches,
Wow.
questioning both drivers and passengers. And there's just generally an increased security presence. Like,
Oh, wow.
Crazy Old Gringo even mentions National Guard troops being deployed to border cities.
National Guard. That's pretty serious, right? I mean,
Yeah.
shouldn't they be, like, I don't know, doing other things?
I mean, it is a valid question,
Yeah.
and it really shows how complicated this whole thing is.
Hmm.
But it's important to remember, this isn't just coming out of nowhere, you know? These security measures are actually because of an agreement between the current Mexican president and former U.S. President Donald Trump.
Oh, so this goes way back.
Yeah, and the goal was to crack down on drug trafficking, particularly fentanyl coming into the U.S.
So basically, anyone going on vacation is kind of stuck in the middle of this whole international effort.
That seems to be the case, yeah. They've
Right.
really upped their resources and manpower for border control,
Right.
which unfortunately seems to be leading to longer wait times for pretty much everybody crossing.
But how much longer are we talking about? Is it just like a few extra minutes, or is this something that could really mess up people's travel plans?
Well, there's this part in the blog post where Crazy Old Gringo interviews this person from Phoenix,
Okay.
and they say they're totally willing to put up with the delays to get to Mexico.
Really?
Yeah,
So it sounds like for some people, it's not a big deal.
right. For some,
Yeah.
it seems like the good stuff in Mexico is worth the wait.
That's pretty interesting. It shows how much people love going down there.
Yeah, definitely.
But is that sustainable? Like, what if these delays just keep getting longer and longer?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say what will happen in the long run.
Right.
But if the delays keep getting worse,
Yeah.
it's not crazy to think that it could start to scare people away.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that could hurt tourism, and even businesses on both sides of the border.
Absolutely.
So it's a tricky situation.
Yeah. And we haven't even talked about the people who live and work on both sides of the border, right?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like, this must be a huge hassle for them.
Totally.
Imagine having to go through all that every single day just to get to work or school.
Yeah, it would be a nightmare.
And stressful, too.
Yeah, and I'm sure it adds a lot of uncertainty to their lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to fix one problem, but maybe creating a bunch of others in the process.
It's like a domino effect.
Right, it's complicated.
Yeah, for sure.
They're trying to be safe, but they also need to think about the people who rely on crossing the border every day.
Right. Finding that balance is tough.
For sure.
Okay, so we've talked about this heightened security, but is it the same at all the Arizona border crossings? Or are there differences?
Good question. Actually, no. Crazy Old Gringo says that
Lukeville.
Yeah, the Lukeville port of entry, it seems to be hit particularly hard.
Really?
So,
Like, if you're thinking about crossing there,
yeah.
be ready for a long wait, maybe.
Okay, so is there something about Lukeville, like, geographically or something?
Yeah, like what makes it different?
That makes it more prone to these delays.
It's hard to say for sure. We don't have all the details.
Right.
But it could be that Lukeville just has more resources or personnel for these inspections, you know?
Okay, so maybe they're just more
Yeah.
focused there.
It's also possible that it has to do with the types of vehicles or goods that usually cross there.
So it's like each crossing has its own personality almost.
Right, exactly. And that's why Crazy Old Gringo's blog is so helpful. You know,
Yeah.
he's giving people this insider info.
Like, okay, if you want to avoid the crazy delays,
Right.
maybe try a different crossing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
He even points out that the San Luis port of entry, it hasn't been hit as hard.
San Luis, okay.
Yeah, so that could be a better option for people.
So he's like a border crossing guru, this guy.
He's got the tips, that's for sure.
Yeah, very cool. Okay.
But he also stresses that no matter where you cross, be prepared, especially during peak times like spring break.
Oh, yeah. Spring break is always a zoo anyway.
Totally.
And now with these extra inspections.
Yeah, it's going to be even crazier.
Okay, so just plan ahead, I guess.
Right. And he also says, make sure you have all your vehicle documents ready.
Oh, yeah, the paperwork.
Your registration, insurance, passport, all that jazz.
It's funny because we were talking about the people who cross the border every day.
Right, for work or school.
Yeah, and I can't imagine having to deal with all that every single day.
It would be brutal.
Yeah, it would be like adding so much stress to your life.
Totally. And a lot of uncertainty, too.
Yeah, it really makes you think about the bigger picture, you know.
Yeah, it's not just about catching a few bad guys. It's about how these policies affect people's lives.
Absolutely.
Like, are they really worth it?
Right, or the benefits outweighing the costs.
Exactly.
And that's a tough question to answer.
Yeah, it really is. And Crazy Old Gringo, he even says, it's unclear how long these inspections will last.
So we're all just kind of hanging in limbo here.
Pretty much.
Yeah, okay, so no crystal ball.
Nope.
But maybe we can try to figure out what factors might affect how long this whole thing goes on.
Right. We can analyze it.
Okay, so what do you think?
Well, I think a big factor is going to be how effective these measures are.
In terms
Like,
of,
are they actually stopping the drugs?
right, are they actually working?
Exactly, because if they are,
Yeah,
there's going to be pressure to keep them going.
right, but what if they're not working?
Yeah, that's the other side of it.
What if it's all just a big hassle for everyone,
And hurting the economies of these border towns.
but not actually making a difference with the drug problem?
Right, that's a valid point.
Yeah,
There needs to be some kind of balance,
right, cost-benefit analysis.
Exactly, but then you also have to factor in the politics of it all.
Oh yeah, politics always makes things messier.
For sure.
So how do you see that playing out?
Well, border security is a hot button issue,
Yeah,
and public opinion, pressure from different groups, and the priorities of the people in charge.
right, the politicians.
Yeah, it all plays a role.
So it's not just a simple equation.
Nope, it's a whole web of things.
And then there's the international aspect too.
Right, the agreement between the U.S. and Mexico.
Yeah, that's a big piece of the puzzle.
Totally.
So how does all this affect the average traveler?
Good question. What advice can we give them?
What should they do?
I think the most important thing is to just be prepared and,
Be ready for anything.
yeah, exactly. Like, be flexible with your travel plans.
Right.
Maybe try to avoid those peak travel times like spring break or holidays.
Mm-hmm. Good point.
And if you can, choose a crossing that's known to be less crowded.
Yeah, like San Luis.
Exactly.
And of course, like Crazy Old Gringo said, Make sure all your paperwork is in order.
Oh, yeah, that's crucial.
Having all your documents ready can really speed things up.
Totally.
And maybe even save you a ton of time.
Absolutely.
But even with all that, sometimes you just got to be patient.
Yeah, true.
These delays are totally out of our control,
It is what it is.
Getting all worked up about it isn't going to make the line move any faster.
Right, just gotta roll with it.
And hey, while you're waiting, why not chat with the other people in line?
Oh yeah, good idea.
Turn it into a social thing.
Make some new friends.
Exactly. You might even get some good travel tips from them.
Or just enjoy the people watching,
Yeah. Sometimes those unexpected encounters are the best part of traveling.
That's so true.
It's all about perspective,
Yeah, turning a potentially frustrating situation into something positive. And it kind of makes you think about how connected we all are.
How so?
Well, what happens at the border, it doesn't just affect the people crossing,
Right.
It has this ripple effect on economies, communities, even international relations.
So it's way bigger than just getting from point A to point B.
Exactly.
It's about understanding the bigger picture and seeing things from different perspectives.
Yeah, and maybe by talking about these issues, we can start to find solutions that work for everyone.
Solutions that prioritize both security and the well-being of people on both sides of the border.
Exactly, finding that balance.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap things up.
Yeah, good discussion.
We've gone from practical travel tips to, geopolitical stuff. It's been quite a deep dive.
It really has.
But the conversation doesn't end here, right?
Of course not. Things are constantly changing.
So it's important to stay informed.
Keep learning and keep talking about it.
Absolutely. And hey, maybe Crazy Old Gringo will write another blog post soon.
Oh yeah, hopefully he'll give us some more updates.
Fingers crossed.
For sure.
But in the meantime, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.
That's the key.
There's always more to learn, and every journey, even those with a few bumps in the road, can be an opportunity to grow.
Well said. Couldn't agree more.
That's all for today, folks. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
See you next time.